it's about time I left the traffic and the busyness of society behind. And that way, went to the quiet of the forest. It's time to get away from it all. Once you get into August, especially in a forest or a woodland that's dominated by oaks, it's very difficult to get any scenes where the lighting looks lovely. I don't know, it's hard for me to explain, but the lighting here, I'll try my very best to describe and explain myself here. But the way these trees and the vegetation and the path is lit is reminiscent of like 2 months ago here. Once you tend to get into the latter part of July and August, these are the 2 months where it all goes a bit scruffy and dull, foliage wise anyway, I always think. Well, I find it very hard to get lighting like this. To all intents and purposes, just looking at the lighting on these trees, this could be spring, but it isn't. This is second half of August. You can sort of gauge that really by the vegetation that's either side of the track here. But rarely in August in Sherwood Forest do you get the vegetation of the trees, that lovely oak foliage lit up in the manner that it is. Something's been here and left clues. I know exactly what's been here, because to me this is the work of the muntjac. What makes me guess that or say that? Well, my reasoning is this cut-off point here, which gives you an indication of how tall a muntjac is, or in a muntjac's case, how short a muntjac is. Any other deer here in the forest, in this part of Sherwood Forest, it's all roe deer and red deer. Fallow deer aren't usually found in this part of the forest, they're more over towards Centre Parks and Sherwood Pines. Roe deer would eat the top. All these top leaves would be gone and probably the top part of the stem. This, however, has been chewed from the bottom up till it couldn't reach anymore. Even though the animal's not here and there's no droppings nearby to help with identification, I think this is the work of the muntjac. I was just reminiscing from a time that seems months and months ago now, back to when I was up here looking for purple emperors. I suppose it's 6 weeks or so ago, yet it seems far longer than that. But this spot will have a special place in my heart, because this was the first place I'll always remember for seeing a first for me, and it's a wild Sherwood Forest purple emperor. And at the time I was with Nick and Samantha Brownlee, we'd met up at this point here. All of a sudden this purple emperor come charging more or less between us, went up to one of these tall sweet chestnuts here that line this crossroads, sat up there for about 5 minutes, and then came hurtling back down past us again before alighted on one of the overhanging branches of that sweet chestnut there. Then it came down again and flew down that ride there at about sort of chest height. That was my first encounter with Sherwood's most magnificent butterfly, only above silver-wash fritillary, which turned up this year. All in all, been an amazing summer here in Sherwood Forest for those two butterflies alone, and of course the day-flying moth, broad-bordered beehawk moth, which again had a fantastic year, and we've been able to survey for it and find out that it's far commoner and more widespread than what we would have dreamt of only just a couple of years ago. Same is said for purple emperor, unknown here. Well, he's not been recorded for donkey's years till being found in 2020 by Nick and Samantha Brownlee. This year, silver-wash fritillary turned up in numbers, and we've been able to map that. And I may well put the map in here of the sightings, and if I do, then the paler the blue to almost white means the earlier the records. Quite an incredible year of survey work as well. Been a really good few months. Say it all seems long ago, but after the joy of seeing several purple emperors, it was then starting to look for eggs, and Nick and Samantha Brownlee yet again did most of the work, or 95% of the work, looking for eggs. I found 3, and I took 2 home, and they failed to hatch. They developed, or at least one fully developed to the point of emergence, but the larva never emerged. The other egg never hatched. The trouble is, when I took the eggs, they'd already been baked by the hot and very sunny weather that we experienced a few weeks prior. And that hot sunny weather has done for the majority of purple emperor eggs. Nick and Samantha Brownlee went on to find a number of eggs. I think it was in the range of about 30 different eggs, and out of those 30 eggs, only 2 have been known to make it through to the larval stage, and I have one at home, and that was the 3rd egg that I found. And it's the only larva that I've seen, and that's this year's little Empy. Good job I took it home. It's amazing that it even survived, and I think it only survived was because the sallow that it was laid on was in shade, or predominantly shade. That's the key to any purple emperor eggs that have survived. They won't have been baked by the sun. And the little purple emperor larva that I have on a potted sallow on the yard at home, myself, I've observed that when we had the last sort of heat wave about a week or so ago, I noticed at the hottest part of the day that caterpillar took to a shaded leaf rather than sit in full sun. No problems with that in the last few days since we've had some rain. That's allowed all this to green up. I just wonder though how much may have survived. quite nice now that we've had a bit of rain, because it's softened the soil on the paths. No more crunching around on dry, stony tracks. It's quite a pleasure to walk on some areas where the leaves accumulate and then break down to form a nice soft cushion. But that's not a bad view, is it? Some hint of autumn colour already on that one small branch just right of centre, that bit of sweet chestnut there. Otherwise, what a delightful scene. You may well see some tiny fragments that are coming down at about a 7 o'clock angle. Well, there's silver birch seeds by the looks of them. But it's a lovely day and a lovely, very peaceful, wheezy wander. Sometimes even I forget just how nice an area this is, and how fortunate I am to have this within 5 minutes of my doorstep. If I wanted to walk to this very spot now, it would only take me half-hour brisk walk. Not that I can do a brisk walk anymore, but it's still easily walkable. It's surprising that even in a relatively busy place or area like Sherwood Forest, it is still very easy to escape everybody. Voila! Nobody. It is a fabulous place, but woodland is. Woodland's marvellous. I've talked about this before. But these trees are just magnificent. They're all just young, thin, sweet chestnuts in this particular bit. On that side, a few sweet chestnuts, and then some remnants of pines. Creates a lovely place to wander, though. I'm saying there's nobody that way as far as you can see, and I can tell you now there's nobody that way behind the camera as far as I can see. I've got this whole area to myself, just me and the wildlife. That's how I like it. But sometimes even I forget to appreciate how lucky I am to have this on my doorstep. And 95% of the people that live in Market Warsop, the local town where I live, completely forget or are ignorant of all this. No one ever comes to see it. If all this was on television, they'd complain that Coronation Street and Emmerdale Farm and EastEnders want on, because they put some programme on about some trees. How much people miss. What experiences people miss by not coming out here, even when it's right on the doorstep. If this was in Derbyshire, people from Nottinghamshire would be flooding to it. Now, it's been said before, we don't often appreciate just what is local or on our doorstep, which you should. You should appreciate it while you can, because there might come a day when you're not in a position to be able to enjoy it. Days like this, or even just hours, just an hour a day, get out to somewhere like this. It completely empties the mind of anything that you've got, any problems that you've got, or anything. All that just melts away. The few people that do this kind of thing, similar to me, will know exactly what I mean, and they'll be saying, yeah, that's right. Nature is a wonderful thing. Slipped up when it invented people, though, didn't it? But when it's a nice day like this, it's nice just to get out and experience the woodland and the forest. Get away from the less populated areas around the major oak. There's far more to Sherwood Forest than the major oak. There's all this.